Morning, dear students. Welcome to back to Civics period, and today also we are going to continue with chapter 2 from Civics, that is understanding secularism. In our previous period we have learned what is secularism means. So basically secularism means respecting order. Each and every religion have equal importance in a state, or all the religions are equal in front of the state or law. And after that also we have learned about what is Indian secularism means. So there we have discussed about 3 points, and today we are going to discuss about the same topic only, what is Indian secularism, from point number 4 to the last. So in our previous period we have discussed that a secular state or India, it do not allow a single religion to dominate the other. So no religion or no one religion is allowed to dominate the other religion groups. Even if it is the majority religion group, like Hindus in India, they are in majority numbers, but they cannot dominate the other religions, the other minor religions. They are not allowed to do so. So constitution do not allow to dominate the religious communities, which are even minorities also are not allowed to dominate by the majorities. So no religion is allowed to, or no religion group is allowed to dominate the other religion communities. The next one, within the same religious community also, some members of that religious community are not allowed to dominate the other members of the same religious community. We have given example of the within the Hindu religion only, the Brahmins and non-Brahmins. So within Hindu religion, the Brahmins, which are considered as superior, so Brahmins cannot dominate the non-Brahmins of the Hindu religion. So that is also not allowed. So a secular state like India do not allow the members of a religious community to dominate the other members of the same religious community, considering them as inferior. So next one is that that like the state, or we can say the government or the state, also cannot enforce anyone to adopt a religion, and also it do not force the, or it do not take away the freedom of religion of the from the individuals. So main thing is that state cannot force anyone to follow a particular religion, and state also cannot take away the religion from us. That is the meaning. So that's what we have discussed in our previous class, and today we are going to continue with the same, that is what is Indian secularism. And today we will have the fourth point, starting from the fourth point. So fourth point include that in order to respect the sentiments of religions and not interfere with religious practices, state makes certain exceptions for particular religious communities. So as in India, which is a secular state, all religions are they are equal, as well as they're equally treated. So to respect the sentiments of the religious practices of some communities, there are some exceptions which are being followed even by the state. So the state makes certain exception for some particular religious communities, and there is one example given about the Sikh people. So Sikh people, what they wear, they wear pugri. I think you might have seen, and there are a few Sikh students also maybe in our class. So the Sikh people, they wear, basically the male, they wear pugri, okay, which is called turban. So while they wearing that pugri, while riding a two-wheeler, they are allowed to ride without a helmet also, because they are wearing a pagri, which is a religious practice or religious sentiment. Due to religious significance, they wear the pagri or the turban, and that's why even they are not required, or they need not to wear a helmet while riding two-wheeler. So they are allowed to wear the pagri only while riding the two-wheeler. So that is an exception which is made for respecting the religious sentiments of Sikh people. Okay. Then point number fifth, the government school cannot promote any one religion. So a government schools in our state or in our country, no government state can promote a particular religion. In a government school, all the religions students like children may study, as well as we in studies also, or in any course or any curriculum also, the schools are not allowed to promote any one religion. Even if it is majority, then also it is not allowed to promote. Then next point is the Indian secularism works to prevent the domination of majority religion over minority, which we already had discussed. That Indian secularism, it also prevent the domination of the majority religion over the minority religion. I have given you the example. There are 70 to almost 80% in India are Hindu, and minorities are rest. Okay, so it does not mean that this 70 to 80 or 90% people can dominate the other religions. They are not allowed to do so. So the Indian secularism works to prevent on domination of the majority religion over the minority. Next point is, in order to prevent this religious-based exclusion and discrimination of lower caste, the Indian constitution bans the untouchability. Even within the same religious community also, there are superior, inferior, those things were in our past. So those things are not allowed, or it is prevented by the Indian secularism. So that's why the government has the Indian constitution has banned the untouchability, which was followed in our past. That there were different within the Hindu religion also, there were different groups, and those, especially the superior one, the Brahmins, they cannot even they cannot even dominate, or we can say the system of untouchability, those things are being banned by the constitution. The next, in order to sorry in order to end social practices, the state may have to intervene in the religious based orders. So in order to end the social practices, some social practices, sometimes the state might have to interfere. Okay, like the untouchability. So untouchability was being followed in the past India, but now it is not there, because the constitution, the constitution means what it is, it is after being discussion only, the state has banned that, or they have removed the system of untouchability. So sometime, due to some ill social practices, the government has to, or we can say the state has to intervene also, or interfere also. So that is another thing. Then our next point is the first amendment of US constitution. Amendment means changes in the United States constitution prohibits the legislature from making law. So like in our first amendment or changes, which is from different from the US constitution, so it prohibits the legislature from making laws respecting an establishment of religion, or that prohibits the free exercise of religion. Rather, it includes free exercise of religion. So no religion was given prioritize. In fact, all the religions are same. That's why it prohibits the, or it allows the freedom of religion. So which was a completely a different phase. It means the legislature cannot declare any religion. So legislature which makes the law, but they cannot make any religion as official religion. Okay, all the religions are equal. That's why no religion can be considered as official religion. In USA, the separation between the state and religions means it is very strict in case of USA, that the separation of state and religion means it is totally different aspects. These two are totally different aspects. Neither the state nor the religion can interfere for in each other's affair. So in case of USA, it is totally strict that state is totally different and religion are totally different. But in case of India, you might have seen that sometime due to some social practices which are not acceptable, government or state can interfere. But in case of USA, it is strictly that the state is completely different and the religion is completely different. So no one, that is either state or religion, cannot interfere on each other's affair. Then, so that was the amendment in case of India, that there is little bit change, that even Indian or constitution can interfere, or state can interfere if there is some ill social practices going on in the society. Then the next point is, the Indian state is secular and works in various ways to prevent religious domination. So Indian state is secular. Secular means, you already know that different religion groups people live in the country with respect, and then and works in various ways to prevent religious domination. So Indian state being a secular state, all the possible ways are being done by the government or by the state to prevent the religious domination, so that there is no domination of religion going on in the country, or it goes on in the country. That's why it has been done every time. The next is, unlike USA, in India the state can interfere in religious. As I already told you, that unlike USA, the state, because in USA it is strictly different, two different entities, but in case of India, the state sometimes can interfere within in the religious affairs also, like the process of untouchability, which was given as example. It was completely banned by the law. So state can interfere for such issues which are socially not acceptable. So state can interfere in those type of issues, but basically it remains separate. But when it is ill practices going on in the society, then government can or state can interfere. Then what are the various steps taken by the Indian state, or steps taken by the India to protect secularism in the country? So number one was what? It uses a strategy of distancing itself from religion. Means the state and the religion are two different aspects and they are being separated. So the power of state and power of religion are different. No one can interfere on each other's. But in some sort of problems, or in some sort of ill practices, if it is going on, state can interfere also. That is exceptional. But basically, usually both state power and religion power are different, and state, that's why it made a strategy to distance itself from the religion. And in India, government spaces like courts, in case of India, the government spaces like the courts, law courts, then police stations, government schools, and government offices are not supposed to display or promote any one religion. So no government institution or organization can portray or they can display any religious significance of any single religion. All religions are same. That's why they cannot display or promote any one religion in any government institution, either it be a government school, a government office, law courts, or it can be police stations, which are not supposed to display or promote any one religion. That is the way or step taken by Indian government or Indian constitution to protect the secularism. Number two step, which is taken by the Indian state to protect secularism, is that a strategy of non-interference. A strategy of non-interference means that in order to respect the sentiments of all religions and not interfere with the religious practices, the state makes certain exception for particular religious communities, which we already have seen in case of the Sikh people, that though the state power and government power are different, but and state always respect each and every religious communities. So that's why, to respect the sentiments of all the religions, the government do not interfere with religious practices, even if it is related to some sort of law. So that's why while riding two wheelers, the Sikh people, they are allowed to ride without a helmet, because they wear pugri, which is due to their religious sentiments, to carry forward their religious sentiment. So that one is allowed. So these are some exception while respecting the sentiments of the religion. So that is also another strategy to respect the religious sentiments of the different religious communities. Okay. The next third strategy is that a strategy of intervention. But sometimes one is non-interference. Non-interference means to respect the religious sentiments. Sometimes government, even laws are also not applied. Like one example was given about the Sikh people that wearing pugri does not need a helmet for riding two-wheeler. Similarly, another one is that there is a strategy of intervention as well. So it is flexible actually. Though state power and religious power are two different things, but it is flexible. When it is necessary, then state can intervene or state can interfere also. So there is a strategy of intervention also, or interference by the state also. So this means that it ensures the law relating to equal inheritance rights are respected. The state can intervene in the religious based personal laws of communities. Means it is that if there is some personal laws are being made, or personal practices are being made by a particular religious community, then government can interfere, because if that particular method or that process is not accepted by the society, which is not good for the society, or in a state like India, which is a secular state, if there is any sort of ill practices going on in the society, then government can or state can interfere to stop that. Okay. And the fourth one is the intervention of the state can also be in the form of support. And sometimes intervention of the government or the state can also be in form of the support. One is they can intervene to stop something which is illegal or which is not good for the society. Another one is state can also interfere in support of, in the form of support to the people. Like for example, in Indian constitution, it grants the right to religious communities to set up their own schools and colleges. Like there are some schools which are promoting their own religious communities, and for those type of schools, government is also providing financial support to set up those type of schools. But in government school, it is not allowed to promote any single religion. But there are some private schools which may have the uh, like they want to spread their religion. So in those type of private schools which grant the right to religious communities to set up their own schools, they are also provided with financial help by the government. Okay. So that's all about the steps taken by the India or Indian state to protect secularism. So we got how many? 4 points. Number one is the uh, strategy of distancing a state from the religion. Number two is the strategy of interference, non-interference. And number third is strategy of interference or intervention. Sometimes it is required as well. And number fourth is the when the Indian constitution grants the right to a religious community to set up their own schools and colleges, government is also helping those schools or those organizations financially. So in form of support, sometimes the state can interfere also. The last topic of this particular chapter is that in what way is Indian secularism different from the other democratic countries. We already have seen, if we compare with USA, there is a difference between the USA secularism and Indian secularism. So what is the main difference is that in case of India, the the government can intervene or interfere in some sort of issues or affairs uh, among the religious communities. But in case of USA, it is strictly followed that there is no intervention of state or religious for each other's affair. Okay. So here you can read the paragraph that there is one significant way in which Indian secularism is different from dominant understanding of secularism practiced in USA, which is also a democratic country. In America, secularism, there is a strict separation between the state and religion. There is a very strict separation between this religion and state. No one can interfere on each other's affair. Whereas in Indian secularism, the state can intervene in religious affairs. In some sort of affairs or in case of some ill practices which is going on in the society, to stop that, government can interfere in India, but that is not happening in USA. So that is the difference between Indian secularism and the secularism of other democratic country. So India has little bit of flexibility, and that is also for the good of the people only. Okay, so that is all about this chapter. So here we have learned about what is Indian secularism, and then we also have discussed about the ways or the steps taken by the Indian state to protect secularism. Please note down the points, students, and soon you will be receiving the question answers of this chapter as well. Okay, so thank you so much.